Today's lesson is all about parallel lines and transversals. Now, we all know what parallel lines are, but transversals is something new. A transversal is a line that crosses two others. So in our diagram here to the right, P, that is our transversal because it's crossing lines M and N. So P is the transversal. Now, there are a lot of things that happen when parallel lines get crossed by another line. And today we're going to be looking at all the different relationships that happen. We have these four. We have corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, exterior angles, same side interior angles, and then we still have vertical angles and linear pair from chapter 1. So now we're going to look at the special relationships that are caused by when a transversal crosses two parallel lines. The first set that we have are corresponding angles. And corresponding angles, they are angles that are on the same side of their lines. So angle 5 is on line B, angle 1 is on line A, and both angles are on the same side of the transversal. So 1 and 5 are corresponding angles. And again, that are two angles on the same side of the transversal, and on the same side as their lines. And our example was angles 1 and 5. Angles 1 and 5. Our second relationship are alternate interior angles. Now if we're talking about interior and exterior, it'd be a good thing to have a definition of what those spaces are. The interior is the space in between the two parallel lines along the transversal. So this would be the entire interior space. So on your notes, you should mark that. Shade it and then write it down as interior. And of course, that means our outside spaces are the exterior. So when we have alternate interior, we're going to be looking at the corners on the inside, so 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then they're alternate, so they are going to be diagonal from each other. So they are the angles on the inside, angles on the interior, and are diagonal. And our examples are angles 3 and 6, and angles 5 and 4. Now our next set, alternate exterior angles. Again, alternate means they're going to be diagonal from each other, and exterior means they're on the outside. So we have 8 and 1, and angle 7 and angle 2. Those are our alternate exterior angles. So those are angles on the exterior and are diagonal from each other. And our examples are angles 1 and 8, angles 1 and 8, as well as 2 and 7, angle 2 and angle 7. Our same side interior, those are angles on the interior and are on the same side of the transversal, so that would be angles 4 and angle 6, and then angle 3 and angle 5. So same side of transversal, and on the interior. And those were angles 4 and 6, and 3 and 5. Our vertical angles, those are ones that we should be familiar with already. We learned about those in Chapter 1. That's two angles that are on the same two lines, so it can only be line C and B, or line C and line A, or line C and line B. It can't be on all three lines. So for example, angles 1 and 4 are vertical angles. They're on the same two lines, and they are diagonal from each other. Two angles on the same two lines that are diagonal from each other. And those angles again are 1 and 4. Angles 1 and angle 4 are our example. In our diagram, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of vertical angles. So let's just leave 1 and 4 as our example and know that you can have 2 per crossing of lines. For a linear pair, our last one, that is also a review. Those are two angles that are right next to each other when two lines cross. So angles 5 and 6 would be a linear pair, and so would angles 5 and 7. So again, that's two angles on the same two lines that are adjacent to each other. And our example was angle 5 and angle 6. Now, one thing that's important to remember is they add to be 180, so they make a straight line. So the angles add to 180 degrees. So now that we have these angle pairs, we need to know how to use them. And they come in handy when we're talking about two parallel lines being cut by transversals. Now, the key to this is that the two lines have to be parallel for these statements to be true. So for corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, and alternate exterior angles, all three of these are congruent. So again, corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior angles are congruent, and alternate exterior angles are congruent. And then for same side interior angles, those angles are supplementary, or they add up to 180 degrees. Then as a reminder, linear pairs are supplementary, and vertical angles are congruent. That wraps up our notes for today. Our homework for tonight is Chapter 3, Part 11,